Okay, so these are going to be your naming notes for covalent compounds. So if you want to label your notes, what you should write down is naming rules for covalent compounds. All right. You need all three of these rules, and it's not going to do me much good to go through saying these to you. It's much easier for me to explain these when I'm showing you the examples. So just write these down though, so you'll have them in your notes. Less that one. Just so write 1, 2, 3. We're gonna have prefixes, and then I will explain these as I show you the examples. Okay. You will also need these prefixes. Take a minute, write these down. They're basic prefixes. You've probably heard most of them before. Okay, but definitely have these in your notes. Okay, so I know this is saying, going ahead and putting the word out here, but I'm going to go through and explain what they're doing here. All right, let's start with CCl4. All right, CCl4. If you're given this formula right here, first of all, you have to say, is it ionic or covalent? Remember, how you tell is you look at the first element and see if it's a metal or a non-metal, okay? Carbon is a non-metal because it's on the right-hand side of that staircase, all right? We talked about that. Since it's a non-metal, I know it's covalent, and then I need to use my covalent rules, all right? So when you're using your covalent rules, we use prefixes in front of the names. So C is carbon, so I'm just going to write out carbon, okay? C is carbon. We don't write ones in chemistry, so if there's nothing here as a subscript, then that means it's a 1, all right? Now, the prefix for 1 was mono. You have those written down, okay? But the rules say that we don't use mono for the first element, only the second one. So if I had had a 1 on my chlorine here, I would have said monochloride. But I'm not going to say monocarbon because we don't use mono on the first one. All the other prefixes, we do use them on the first element, okay? And I will show you an example of those too. So we're just going to write the word carbon, and then Cl is chlorine, all right? But this is what we do, and we have this prefix. The prefix for 4 is tetra, so this is how this is going to go. Carbon, tetra, and it's not chlorine, okay? I know that's what the element is, but when you are writing names, the second one changes to I-D-E every time. So it's going to be chloride, not chlorine, tetrachloride. So the name for this would be carbon tetrachloride. Okay. Let me remind myself what the other one was. N2O. Okay. So for this one, N2O is our next example. I need to name this, right? N is nitrogen. It's a non-metal, so I know I'm using these prefix rules, okay? And there's not a 1. This time it's a 2, so I need to put a prefix in front of it. The only time I don't use a prefix on this first one is if it's 1, okay? So the prefix for 2 is di, so I'm going to write di, that's for the 2, and N is nitrogen. Di, nitrogen. And then when I'm writing my second one, this is oxygen, okay? We got to change it to ide. That's the rule, so it's going to be oxide. And there's a 1 here. Guys, we use mono on the second word, just not the first one. So I'm going to write mono, that stands for 1. And then I'm going to just continue to write oxygen, but I got to change the ending of oxygen to IDE. Okay, so it's monoxide. Monoxide, okay? I'm not going to count off for spelling. If you put mono on the front, let's say you put 2 O's or something, it's fine, okay, as long as you're close. And then the last one was 6F6. All right, SF6. First one is sulfur, so I'm just going to write sulfur. It's a 1 here, and we don't use mono on the first one, so no prefix in front. Only 1, though. All the other ones we use. Doesn't matter what it is. For this one, 6 is hexa. Okay, and then F is fluorine, but we change it to IDE. So it would be fluoride. Change fluorine to fluoride, sulfur hexafluoride. Okay, so that is if you're writing the name. Let's do a couple where you're writing the formula. So we will change. And if you wanted to write down those answers, if you didn't write them down online, that's fine. Those are these bullets are just the answers to these. Okay. All right. So arsenic trichloride. All right. If you are given this name, okay? If you're given this name, arsenic trichloride, and they want you to write the formula, okay? Well, arsenic is AR, right? Actually, it's AS. Sorry. Arsenic's AS. Change that. Let me just go back. AR is argon. All right. Okay. And then chloride, that's chlorine. Remember, they changed the IDE, so this is actually chlorine. So go ahead and put Cl. Now, arsenic, look, there's nothing in the front of it here. No prefix at all. Nothing. So I don't put anything here for my subscript. In front of chlorine, though, there's a prefix, tri, and that stands for 3, right? So I'm going to put a little 3 on my chlorine, AsCl3. All right, let me see what the other one is. That's where those numbers are coming from. Dinitrogen pentoxide. So if you're given dinitrogen pentoxide, and you need to write the formula for it, well, nitrogen, look that up, it's in. And this oxide, remember it changes to IDE, so it used to be just oxygen. Di is 2, and pent is 5. Okay, that's where those numbers are coming from. All right, one more. Tetraphosphorus dicoxide. Tetra. Doesn't know. This is a long one, sorry. Deca oxide, I think. Okay. Phosphorus, tetraphosphorus. Phosphorus is P. Oxide again, that's O. If you want to write your two elements first, you can, and then go back and write the numbers however you want to do it. But tetra stands for 4, and deca stands for 10. So that's how you would write that. And then here are the answers for that one if you need a second to write those down. Okay, these are the answers. You'll have plenty of practice with these, and I will come around and help you, all right? Last thing I need you to write down in these notes are the 7 diatomic elements. And here, they're in black right here. See, here's hydrogen, and then they make a little 7 over here on your periodic table. So you need to mark these. These are, and what these are, these 7 elements right here. Anytime you write them by themselves, they need this little 2 with them, okay? So all 7 of these, like, so if I'm needing to write oxygen, and it's just all by itself, it's just oxygen, I would have to write O2, okay? Now, if I wanted to write sodium by itself, I'd just write Na, no big deal, no 2. But if it's one of those 7 that I just showed you, it needs this little 2 with it, okay? So like fluorine, have to put the little 2. Chlorine has to have the little 2. Hydrogen has to have the little 2, all right? Other elements that are not those 7, magnesium, no 2, okay? And it's only when you write them all by themselves that comes into play, all right? Okay, and that's it for these guys.